Hello everyone, my name is Lilibeth and I want to start this conference with a question for you. And is this question. Have you ever tried to speak a new language and still felt like an outsider? Think about it. Okay, why is that? It's because language is more than words. It's the culture behind those words. Today, we're going to explore how culture influences language teaching, why it's important, why it really means to teach culture, and how we can bring it into our classrooms. So, let's keep going. How influences culture when teaching a second language? When we teach a second language, we are not only teaching how to build sentences, we are helping students enter a new word. So, it means that it affects things like body language, politeness, humor, and even the way ideas are structured in conversation, for example. In some cultures, it's common to speak directly and get to the point, while in others, people use more indirect expressions to avoid sounding rude. You know, if in our culture, students may know the words but still misunderstood the message or be misunderstood themselves, right? But why is culture important? Culture shapes how we express ourselves. It defines how we greet others, how we say no politely, or even how we tell a joke. Without culture and context, students may speak correctly but fail to connect, right? So, without understanding the cultural context, words are just like sounds or symbols. But culture in this educational context helps the students know how and when to use certain expressions, adapt to different situations, and build better relationship with native speakers. It also increases motivation, and students especially get curious and engaged when they learn about music, traditions, or lifestyle from the culture they are studying. Right? Let's continue. What does it mean to teach culture? Well, it means a lot. It can be like social norms, politeness rules, humor, idioms and body language, values behind communication style. It means that it has a lot of implications, right? So it means helping the students mm, understand the values, beliefs, and what else? Everyday habits of people who speak the language. It's about raising awareness of similarities and differences that we can find around the world and teaching students to speak and adapt to other ways of communicating. In other words, teaching culture means teaching students how to think in that language, not just speak it. That's very clear. But how can we integrate culture into language lessons? Well, there are a lot of ways to integrate culture when teaching a new language to your students. So let's take a look at it. Let's take a look at it. Use authentic materials, videos, music, new articles, interview can help a lot. But also, when you compare cultures and invite students to reflect on how their culture differs, can make them think and analyze a lot, like get more deep into the culture of another language. Also, you can invite your students to analyze real life situations, for example, how people apologize or disagree politely in different cultures. And it can also encourage curiosity and empathy. in your students when learning a new language. So I think that you can take into account these points if you really want to help your students to be more motivated about learning a new language, but also to be aware about the culture, the way of thinking, or just like the thoughts in general of another language, which is really important for the learning process. So let's conclude this topic with this sentence. Culture is not an extra piece of the puzzle. It is the puzzle. Well, very deep. But okay, I think that we can conclude thinking that culture influences how we teach and learn, right? It gives language meaning and it helps students connect on a deeper level, like as we have mentioned before. As teacher, our mission is not only to teach words and grammar, but to open a window to another way of seeing the world, which is incredible. After all, learning a language without its culture is like learning to dance without music. You might know the steps, but you'll miss the soul of it. So it is really important, it is necessary, and I I invite you to take into account when teaching a new language. So bye bye and thank you for being here.